have a question for you guys. Does ugliness matter?
Oh, don't start that crap, Morty.
Well, in Rick and Morty, it absolutely does.
I am Mr. Calypso. Face me, you ugly, drunk, ugly piece of shit.
Okay, I might look into it.
But not in the way you'd expect. The show takes ugliness and flips it on its head. It's not just a cosmetic issue, it's a deep existential trait that plays into the very fabric of the multiverse. And I know, that's a lot. But before you start writing a thesis about interdimensional beauty standards, let's dive in. Rick and Morty doesn't just tolerate ugliness, it thrives on it. Let's talk about Rick. The guy's a genius, a renegade, and probably the most powerful man in every dimension. And yet he looks like he's been through 50 years of bad decisions with no moisturizer in sight. He's got the classic mad scientist look. Wild blue hair, drool perpetually hanging off his lip, and the posture of a crypt keeper. And here's the kicker. His appearance doesn't hold him back. In fact, it's part of what makes him unstoppable. In the episode Pickle Rick, Rick literally turns himself into a pickle to avoid going to family therapy. A pickle.
I turned myself into a pickle, Morty! Boom! Big reveal, I'm a pickle. What do you think about that? I turned myself into a pickle!
It's the ultimate dive into absurdity and ugliness, but does it stop him? Nope. Pickle Rick, despite being an actual vegetable, still manages to slaughter a secret agent and take on an entire building of assassins. His mind is so sharp, his grotesque form is irrelevant.
You must be Rick.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a lot about you today. Your family is crazy about you. Your daughter holds you in very high regard. You're a lucky fella.
Yeah, thank you.
Contrast that with Beth and Summer in Raising Gazorpazorp, where Summer is confronted by a race of hyper-feminized perfect women. They see her as hideous because compared to their ridiculously exaggerated beauty standards, she doesn't measure up. Summer, the most conventionally pretty character in the Smith family, is suddenly seen as ugly. And here's the irony. Her looks don't save her. She has to navigate the situation through diplomacy and logic.
A certain percentage of our males are born gay, which is why my clothes are better than all of yours.
It's true.
Not her appearance. The episode subtly pokes fun at the idea that beauty even matters.
Like if I told you that you're using the wrong color foundation for your skin and it ends at your neck, making you look like a party clown.
Okay, ouch, noted.
When you're dealing with a race that operates on such absurd, unattainable standards. Then there's Morty. Poor Morty. The kid is awkward, constantly terrified, and has a face that screams, "I've seen things." But does his ugliness hold him back? Quite the opposite. In Rick Potion number 9, Morty wants to win over Jessica.
Morty, you look really nice tonight.
Wow, thanks!
I love you, Morty. I love you so much it burns.
And asks Rick to make him a love potion. What follows is an absolute disaster. Morty's love potion accidentally mutates the entire human population into grotesque Cronenberg monsters. The irony here is that Morty, the ugly kid, trying to fix his love life, ends up turning the whole world into something far uglier than himself. The message? Ugliness is fleeting, because no matter how bad you think you look, there's always a version of the world that's worse. And Morty? He learns to roll with it, hopping into a new universe where everything's normal again.
Not right.
No,
Ever.
no! Look, you idiot!
Speaking of contrast, let's talk about the Whirly conspiracy. In this episode, Jerry, who is pretty average looking, gets caught up in an insane roller coaster of an adventure with Rick, at a resort where no one can die. Jerry, who's always been the normal guy, tries to live in Rick's world of chaos but fails miserably. Jerry is consistently outclassed.
Stop the ride! We gotta get off!
What are you talking about, buddy?
We gotta get out of this thing. We gotta get out!
Jerry, come on, man. We haven't even gotten to the first Whirly.
No, this sucks. It's so boring. I mean, I'm falling asleep here. Let's just get out and crawl down the sides.
Not just because he's kind of a wimp, because his ordinary appearance matches his ordinary mindset. In contrast, Rick thrives in chaos.
Get down! Duck down! It's more fun when you scrunch down!
Jerry, what the... Oh,
Jerry's normalcy is more of a burden than an asset. Being plain both inside and out makes him a liability in Rick's unpredictable universe.
Rick, up here! There's a spot where you can kill him!
Good call, Jerry! Hey, how'd you know about that?
And who can forget the ultimate Rick moment in the Ricklantis Mixup? We meet a variety of Ricks from across the multiverse at the Citadel. Each one as ugly as the next.
Rendering your fantasies pointless while everything you've known becomes impossible to grasp. Also, every 10 seconds it stabs your balls. I've heard enough.
But we also meet Evil Morty, a version of Morty that's far uglier inside than outside. He's no less physically unattractive than any other Morty, but his mind, his sheer ruthlessness and coldness, elevates him to the highest power.
We were saying, President Morty, that we don't care who sits in that seat. A Rick, a Morty, a goddamn Jerry, doesn't matter. We've been running the Citadel since before the Council, and you'll find that we're still running it now.
Does he really speak for everyone here?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's important to be clear. Raise your hand if he speaks for you.
The message is clear. In a world of Ricks and Mortys, it's not your face that defines you, it's your ambition. Evil Morty rises to power not because he's handsome, but because he's willing to play the game harder than anyone else. One of the best episodes to dive into the themes of beauty versus ugliness is Anatomy Park. The premise is wild. Rick builds a theme park inside a homeless man's body, and boy is this guy a mess. The human body is literally turned into an ugly, horrifying landscape filled with diseases and organs ready to burst. But the grotesque setting doesn't stop the adventure. In fact, it's what makes it exciting. It's a gross-out fest, but instead of revulsion, the characters treat it like a regular day at the amusement park. It's a perfect metaphor for how the show treats ugliness, as an opportunity for something deeper and weirder and more interesting.
It's a monster!
And let's not forget the episode, Get Schwifty.
It's time to get Schwifty in here.
Where an alien head demands that Earth produces the best music it's got, or it'll destroy the planet. In typical Rick and Morty fashion, the characters don't care about looking cool while trying to save the world. Rick slouches in his lab coat, Morty stumbles around in his usual anxious state, and no one ever stops to consider appearances.
Oh, this is why.
What the f? You can turn into ice?
My story begins at the dawn of time in the faraway realm of Alpha Betrium.
Even Ice-T, a sentient being made of literal ice, doesn't care that he's just a floating, blocky mess. He's got bigger problems, like stopping the planet from being vaporized. Beauty is irrelevant when you're dealing with alien threats. And that's the essence of Rick and Morty. The superficial just doesn't matter when the stakes are cosmic.
You made me care more. With all due respect, I'd like to hear what Rick and Morty have to play.
Finally, we've got to mention the Vindicators in Vindicators 3, The Return of Worldender. This is Rick and Morty's version of the Avengers, a group of attractive, super-heroic characters who are, by society standards, beautiful and heroic. And yet what happens? Rick humiliates them.
Hello, Vindicators. Welcome to your reckoning, baby! Well, it's official. I had too much to drink last night.
They fall apart both literally and metaphorically. Supernova, who's arguably the most beautiful character, ends up being the biggest villain. Rick, with his drool and burps, manages to tear them all down without even trying. The episode pokes fun at the idea that just because you look like a superhero doesn't mean you are one.
Morty, you're wearing a Vindicator jacket. Are you a little superhero now?
Everyone in the universe is a hero, Mom, which is why we don't need jackets. And I'm pretty sure we don't need Vindicators.
Don't mind if I do.
Ugliness, both physical and moral, is the heart of the episode. And it's the ugly guy, Rick, who comes out on top. So in the Rick and Morty universe, ugliness isn't just tolerated, it's celebrated. Whether it's Rick's bedraggled look, Morty's awkwardness, or the grotesque realities they encounter, the show constantly pushes the idea that looks are irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. Intelligence, survival, and the ability to adapt are what truly matter. Ugliness, that's just part of the ride.
No doubt. Who do we make the check out to?
I will say, we are getting some good licks in while choking to death.
Right?